Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Friday edition of Source 16 News. I'm Eddie Owen. Thanks for joining us. Well, the Amish community in Graves County is mourning the loss of 4 children tonight. A buggy carrying a family of 9 tipped over when it hit a swollen creek in Dublin, which is near Fancy Farm, during last night's storm. Source 16's Michelle Herron has the story.
Edmund got the call around 8:30 last night and vowed he would not stop searching until all the children were found. Around 10 o'clock this morning, Graves County rescue crews found the body of an 11-year-old Amish girl, not far from where crews found 2 of the other bodies late last night.
You know, in doing this for 26 years, and especially when you're dealing with, this is one of the most, probably the hardest cases I've ever worked, because you've had 4 young children. You know, you had an infant, you had a 5-month-old. You know, just going in your mind, and of course you sit and think, what if that was my child? How would I feel out? No, sitting in this house while they were out searching. And I'd said I wasn't going to leave until the last one was brought home, and I stuck to that word.
Children were unable to cross this creek, which led to the devastating outcome.
You know, we received a large, heavy amount of rain in a very short period of time. They probably didn't know that the water had accumulated or was flowing that fast because it was dark and they couldn't see. And they probably thought, you know, they were wanting to get home before, you know, not knowing what the storm was going to bring. You know, they had their children's safety in mind and trying to get home as soon as they could.
The father tried to rescue the children when their buggy tipped, but the waist-high water was moving too swiftly. Crews arrived about 15 minutes after they got the call and searched for over 11 and a half hours for the children ages 5 months, 5 years, 7, and 11. But even with the loss of these children, Sheriff Redmond says it could have been worse.
I don't think there's anything we could have done. I don't think there's, you know, the parents, it's not their fault. They may, you know, it's an accident. Accidents happen every day, and nobody can explain why. We can't explain why. Nobody meant for it to happen. There was no wrongdoing. We don't suspect any wrongdoing. And it's just a tragic accident that we'll never forget.
Michelle Herron, Source 16 News.
Graves County is not a stranger to tragedies involving water. Just 2 years ago, 3 Graves County teens died in Kentucky Lake when their boat capsized. The first severe storm of 2011 not only caused the death of those 4 children, but it also spawned an EF2 tornado that touched down in Christian County last night, according to the National Weather Service. As Source 16 reported live from the Whitty Lane and Happy Hollow subdivision last night during the storm, numerous power poles were snapped in half and trees were downed, and barns were destroyed on the Princeton Road. We also reported during the 10 o'clock news that we had received reports of damage on Everett Lane and trees down on Quisenberry Lane, along with widespread flooding problems in the county. National Weather Service Warning Coordination meteorologist Rick Shanklin was out with a crew today in Christian County touring the damage and told Source 16 that it appears that an EF2 tornado touched down in the Everett Lane area, where several grain bins were destroyed and trees were toppled. He says it appears the EF2 tornado lost its intensity as it moved through the Quisenberry Lane and Princeton Road area to an EF1 or EF0. The Princeton Road was closed last night from Happy Hollow to Whitty Lane due to snapped utility poles and debris from some barns that were destroyed. Last night, Pennyrile Electric spokesman Brent Gilkey told Source 16 that about 520 customers were without power in that area due to the damage to power poles. Princeton Road remained closed today as Pennyrile Electric crews worked to replace at least 10 utility poles. This morning, Gilkey reported that crews found 2 more snapped poles and that it would take longer than initially expected to restore power, which forced the closure of Sinking Fork Elementary School. Power was finally restored to the area around 4:20 this afternoon. Well, as we also reported in the 10 o'clock news last night, a vacant home on John Rivers Road south of Hopkinsville was destroyed by fire after emergency personnel reported the house was hit by lightning. In addition to the damage from last night's storms, as we said earlier, there was widespread flooding across the county, with Christian County Emergency Weather Coordinator David Powell reporting between 3.5 and 4 inches of rainfall. As previously reported, the line of severe storms downed trees, caused power outages and flooding problems in Callaway, Fulton, Graves, Hopkins, Lyon, Muhlenberg, and Marshall counties. Today, several western Kentucky counties were still reporting road closures due to high water and flooding problems. Meanwhile, we could see another round of potentially dangerous weather moving through the area over the weekend, and I'll have more on that coming up in weather in just a few minutes. A jury has convicted a Clarksville man for a July 2009 murder and robbery at a hotel. According to Clarksville Police spokesman Officer Jim Knoll, 20-year-old Corey DeMorris Gilbert of Leland Drive was found guilty of first-degree murder and attempted aggravated robbery in the death of George LeBrent Miller. Miller was found dead from a gunshot wound inside a Madison Street hotel on July 22, 2009. A second man, 22-year-old Dominic Sean Dre Hodges of Clarksville, is in jail awaiting trial for first-degree murder and aggravated robbery in connection to Miller's death. Kentucky State Police are investigating a string of burglaries that occurred overnight in Graves County. State Police responded to the first burglary report around 11 o'clock last night at the Dinner Bell restaurant on Highway 45 North, just north of Mayfield, after a resident noticed the front window broken out to the business. Police say cash was stolen from the restaurant. Two other businesses located just south of the Dinner Bell on Highway 45 were also burglarized. Shortly after 7 o'clock this morning, State Police report Purchase Ford and Shelby Automotive were discovered to be burglarized after employees arrived. Police say both car dealerships had similar signs of forced entry through rear and side doors, and cash was stolen from one of the businesses. Now, if you know anything about the string of burglaries, contact Kentucky State Police at 1-800-222-5555. State Police say callers may remain anonymous. A rear-end collision yesterday afternoon sent a Crofton woman to the hospital for treatment of her injuries. Hopkinsville police report 36-year-old Stacy Waite stopped in the northbound lane of Fort Campbell Boulevard at the intersection of East 21st Street when the driver behind her, 32-year-old Michael Cleveland of Hopkinsville, told police her vehicle started rolling back towards him. Cleveland reportedly honked his horn to get Waite's attention, but her vehicle continued to roll backwards and hit his front bumper. She told police that her truck stalled and it did not roll backwards because she had her foot on the brake. Waite was taken by ambulance to Jenny Stewart Medical Center for treatment of injuries. Meanwhile, in a separate wreck yesterday afternoon, two Hopkinsville residents were taken to the hospital following a two-car rear-end collision on Glass Avenue. According to Hopkinsville police, 27-year-old Natalia Cheatham of Hopkinsville was driving east on Glass Avenue when she slowed down to turn left onto Evergreen Park Drive and was rear-ended by a pickup truck driven by 19-year-old Andrew Mefford of Hopkinsville. Cheatham and one of her two passengers, 34-year-old Alvin Quarles, also of Hopkinsville, were transported by ambulance to Jenny Stewart Medical Center for treatment of injuries. Would you be willing to cut your hair if it made someone else's wish come true? Well, that's what a 6-year-old Hopkinsville girl did yesterday. Source 16's Michelle Herron has more.
Having hair is something most of us take for granted, but millions of children that suffer from alopecia, ectodermal dysplasia, and various cancers have lost more than just their hair. They suffer from a loss of self. To help these children, Lindsay Brazier is donating 12 inches of her long red hair to the nonprofit organization Locks of Love. She is only 6. Locks of Love provides custom-made hair pieces that are made with real human hair. They allow kids to swim, shower, and do gymnastics. In short, they can be kids again. Not only is Lindsay donating her hair to help children's self-esteem, she's also making the donation in memory of a close family member.
Sue.
What happened to Aunt Sue?
She died.
She died. What did she die of?
Cancer.
Cancer. So what does it feel like with short hair now?
Good.
Good. Do you like your haircut? Owner of Razor's Edge Barbershop in Hopkinsville, Leslie Toy, has been donating hair to Locks of Love for 13 years, averaging 30 ponytails each year.
Have someone like the little girl that's here, she's doing it because her aunt passed away. So, yeah, I tear up with them too.
Peace. And even though they don't cure any of the illnesses these children suffer from, it does rebuild their self-esteem. Michelle Herron, Source 16 News.
And if you're interested in making a donation, you can find more information at locksoflove.org. Two Todd County men were arrested Wednesday afternoon on meth and other charges. A Christian County Sheriff Department report released today says 35-year-old Matthew Shane Morris of Trenton and 20-year-old Jeremiah Putty of Elkton were taken into custody around 3:45 at 1355 Mount Vernon Church Road. A detective that was dispatched to that area found Putty inside a vehicle and observed Morris leaving the rear of a business. After a canine alerted on the vehicle, police found methamphetamine, marijuana, and stolen property taken from the store that included a drill, chargers, and a battery. Both men were booked into the Christian County Jail on charges of possession of marijuana and a controlled substance, methamphetamine, theft by unlawful taking, and second-degree criminal trespassing. Well, tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $76 million. And get ready for tomorrow. Saturday's Powerball jackpot, $184 million.